Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna try to make this video a quick installation guide on how to install the air suspension for my Tesla Model 3. I'm gonna make it quick because everybody has a different setup and I'm not gonna go through all the different setup, and I'm just gonna cover what I have. In my case, I have a Airlift Performance 3H with the height sensor, and I have the AirDemand Bags or struts. There you go. And in this video, I'm going to be jumping back and forth because as I was editing, I realized there are some information that I didn't cover that I feel like it's important for you guys to know. So first thing first, I ordered my Airlift Performance parts from AutoRnd. You can contact Rishie if you want any suspension or performance related parts for your Tesla Model 3. Rishie from AutoRnd has the best. And then I contact AirDemand directly for their airbag suspension. And upon receiving everything, first thing you want to do is lay out your tank and compressor, see where you want to mount everything. Read the instruction given by Airlift Performance. They're gonna tell you, they have a diagram pretty clean and clear. I know you're thinking, why am I telling you how to install it when I'm just referring you to the installation diagram? Trust me, I wish there was a video like the one I'm making right now when I did my installation, but luckily I have friends who was able to help me through just Messenger and other source. When I have a problem, I message them. They were able to guide me through how and what I need to do. The installation guide is going to tell you all the to and from, pretty clear, but then there are a lot of other stuff that you need to know, like how to route your cables, how to route your airline, how to get your 12-volt power, and so on. I have a 4 gallons compressed air tank from Airlift Performance. You're going to want to mount your manifold higher than your pump and your compressor. There are multiple ports. There are ports that you're going to be plugging. You got to figure out which port you want to use. There are tanks that have like bottom ports or back ports. For mine, it's sides. I choose to use the top port for my inlet, air inlet for my compressor. What comes with is some fittings. I did have to order my own fittings, just like this 90-degree turn. As you can see, here is a little bit of a tight fit, so bought some street threaded 90-degree elbows. So I'm gonna swap these in, and then on this side, as you can see, there's my outlet that goes to the filter and then into the manifold. That's what feeds all the air into the manifold, and then from the manifold it distributes to all 4 corners of the bag. And then the bottom port, which is for the drain and the bleed. You want to bleed out all the moisture from time to time. I went for dual compressor because in case of one fails, I have a backup. Although you technically could use any air source and for emergency use. Also, 2 compressors will fill up the tank faster and also makes more noise. The compressors are V-Air or Vi-Air 444C. So for the 2 compressor, there's a separate harness kit that came with, which costs another 100 or so. And you're gonna have to join the 2 connections. So these 2 goes to each of the compressor. This male connection will join the main harness with these female connector, and then the relays will just get mounted somewhere tucked away inside the front well. This goes directly to the manifold, and then this thin wire, which ends in a pink wire, will get a fuse soldered in, and as well as goes to fuse on the car. I'm not sure exactly where that goes just yet. This is the USB, which will go to the controller. These 2 long wire, probably gonna cut them short because they're just gonna go directly to the battery, which is less than 4 feet away. And then for the height sensor, it has all the label, left, front, right, front, and so on. Height sensor connection, which there is an additional wiring harness that comes with the box that stores the actual height sensors. You just connect them accordingly and then route them through each corner. Same routing for the air hose. I have everything on the platform. Some people like to hide the tank and everything. I want visibility and accessibility, so in case of anything I can easily access, and hopefully not, but replace anything if needed. Yeah, so once you have everything laid out, secure it on a platform of some sort, and more importantly, make sure that all the wires and line that go through the tub are going through smoothly. It's not gonna make a tight turn that potentially bend the tube and cause a clog or some sort. As funny as it is, I tucked both main harness. I just shove it into this hole here. It's pretty well secured and it's not through, so pretty good spot to hide it. I guess I can strap it and just mount it somewhere, but so this is the main harness because it has all the height sensor connections to, and then the connection to the manifold. This one I have to route. This one also needs to be inside the car. As far as I know, it'll go into a relay that gets power from the center console, I believe. There you go. That's where I'm gonna have the USB and the pink ignition wire pass through inside the cabin. Right there. So there's two cables right now. See if I can pass through. No, I can't. So probably have to cut slightly to allow it to go through, because I have the head of the USB that needs to route through, so it's gonna be quite chunky. So alright, that took a while. Had to cut that grommet 3 slice to have a large enough opening for the USB head to go through. So here's the USB and that pink wire. And like I said, it's a pretty good seal. So I'm just gonna pull. The only thing remaining is the power, both powers. And then obviously I still got the height sensors that I gotta hook up, which again I'm gonna wait until my bag comes in. So this is a week after I installed the management system, or at least majority of the electrical work was done. I just got the mail from DHL. I placed order on the 11th and today is the 25th, so right about 2.5 weeks later, my bags came in from AirDemand. They were overseas. Okay, so these are the stainless steel leader line that came with the AirDemand kit, and as well as these fittings. They have these threaded 90-degree and these compression fittings, which I'm gonna be swapping out with some push to connect fittings because they're more reliable. These are more likely to leak, so I'm gonna do that. Get all 4 struts out. Took me about an hour to get all 4 struts out. So the front bags are in because I want to make sure how long the leader line is and how far it gets to the inside of the tub, so I can cut the correct length for my tubing, which I have done. Strap them nicely here. I did want to avoid the shortcut here, so I ran under instead. But make sure you avoid the rack and pinion and other moving objects, and then zip tied it right along these harness. Nothing sharp against it, both sides. So after I cut it, I think I'm gonna just route it back, similar to this stainless steel line, and just follow along. And because there's moving parts around, for the front strut, it's easily air hoses go past this frame into the front shock or the bags, and then same goes on this side. Oh, it's coming out already. So I'm just gonna go to the other side and just pull it, and you'll see where it comes out. So this is that mud flap thing on the back where mine's all worn out. Height sensor line wire is coming out, so basically the air line is gonna come through from the same gap. Wiring harness also goes directly to the height sensors that is mounted on securely onto the inside of wheel well. For the back, it was a little bit tricky, but it basically route through here the same thing, air hose and the wiring harness for the height sensor through the same channel that we ran for the front, but then after it exited to the outside of the car, it kind of tucked behind the fender liner, and then on here there's a hole, there's a channel. If you carefully fish it through, hopefully you have the right tool. I didn't, and that's where I kind of struggled the most. And just fish it through, and then you eventually catch it on the back end of the car. And then from that point on, it's basically the same process. Just connect the height sensor, plug and play, and connect the air hose. The installation for the bags and struts, it's pretty straightforward, kind of like you would with a coilover system. You can watch my old video on how to install the MPP coilovers or the Airlift Performance lowering springs. Connect all your hoses, front left, front right, and then rear left, rear right, so on. And then there's a one more extra line that goes to the filter, and then another line that goes just kind of dump out air. Some people put a silencer or exhaust, which silence the noise it makes, because it does make a loud noise. When you get to inside the car, the ignition wire is kind of tricky. The way I have it hooked up to is to the VC left for the main 12-volt power controller. Actually, it's getting power through the center console LED light. So, which means if the door closes, the whole system shut off. The reason why I do this is because some people had issue with their 12-volt battery dying. The compressors will kick in while they're not using the car. Let's say they're sleeping throughout the night and the tank may be leaking air, or whatever reason, the compressor decided to kick in. And while the car is not moving, the compressor draws so much current, which eventually, after it kicks in a couple times, maybe the 12-volt battery just die. So for this setup, it's kind of fail-safe. For sure the compressor is not going to be kicked in. I right now have it in camp mode, so which means my door can be closed and I can still have power feeding the compressor. Otherwise, if you shut the door, you're not able to air up or down with your app. Speaking of the app, so this is the app. It reads the pressure, the height level, and if with a push of a button, the car just goes up. And then you can hear the compressor kicking in now. It's pretty loud. And I'm just gonna go and air down, and you can hear that sound. Keep in mind the hood is up right now, so it's a lot louder. But yeah, so just like that. And For the VC left, I'm going to show you some clip of what I did. There's a relay behind here. That's your VC left, and then this is your ignition to the airlift system. This is ground to the back of the dead pedal, and then this there's a brown wire, and then I also got the power through the back side here where people connect their OBD2. Basically it's a brown wire behind that panel underneath the rear air vent. You do have to unplug the high voltage power and as well as the 12 volt when you do that. And for the calibration and height adjustment, what I basically did was set the strut height to be the same for both fronts and for both the rears. That way when I set the pressure, let's say I want to go to 50 psi, because I know the struts are the same height. So if at 50 psi my front sits let's say if the driver's side fender height is half an inch higher, then that means I would have to remove the front strut on the driver's side and shorten it by half an inch. Just keep in mind, the longer the struts are, meaning when you air up, you get more clearance off the ground. Your car sits higher. But it also means that when you air out, you may not have the super slam effect, depending on your car setup. My car is now basically set up to the maximum height I can get, but at the same time when I air out all the way, my front spoiler and side skirt, everything is barely touching the ground. So that's kind of perfect how I want it. And then for the height sensor, you got three things to deal with. You got ride height. You want to make sure your pressure is setting at the same pressure left and right. At the same time, you want to make sure the car is physically sitting at the right height when you measure both left and right side, either the front or back. Kind of running out of battery right now, but that's basically what I had to do. But yeah, running out of breath too. So hopefully this helps you. And if you're new to the channel, I document my Tesla Model 3 build, mostly do-it-yourself kind of project. So if you like the video or it helps you, leave me a thumbs up and comment below. Let me know what you think and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.